Welcome to the post-race report for Gold Coast Half Marathon. A ripper day, a ripper time, jumped straight into it. It turned out my biggest training load week ever of running. I think I got just over 70 Ks in the week, mostly from progressive training overload, jogging up the beach to swim, and joining Michaela on her runs. Which has been really sick to run together. Her run training's lifting. We've got something massive planned at the end of the year for that. Into the race. Race morning was freezing. Going to try and meet Dad to drop off my arm warmers and gloves. So I ended up running with short shorts, long socks, arm warmers, gloves, and a singlet. It's an absolute scene. Oh, and I had a hat. But it was comfortable, actually. I never could find Dad, because there was that many people at the race. I think they had 25,000 participants over the weekend, and at least that many in the crowd, which is one of the highlights of the race, is that there's so many people there, so that even myself, like I got third and fourth at the 30K running races I did. I know that if I go for a massive PB, so I'm still going to get my ass handed to me. So it's great to keep me humble, and it's also great because I got people to chase, which is really fun. And then I get to see so many other people out on course and so many spectators on course too. And I was in the priority starting area. So this is the seeded runners, and then priority, and then A, B, C, D. Breaks it back by that. I don't know what the group differences are, but I got a good spot at the start line, which was massive. And then so many people ran past me as we started. Because it was so cold, I think that's why my legs were so tight. My hamstrings just couldn't get going. I couldn't feel nice form. The goal was 3:25 pace, because that's what I ran at Byron Tri, and I felt really great. I was just in sync, in flow, and I was like, look, I'm pretty confident I could do that. But I did it in 10K for a 21K, because there's no 40K bike and a 1.5K swimmer for it. Kind of just, that's my maths. But my first K was 3:35 and I felt stiff. I think that's because of the cold, and because of how bunched up start line I was. Like, I almost tripped over twice. I had people chopping me all over the place. 4Ks went like that, super quick, and then people started finding their own rhythm and could hold it. I kind of started warming up from here. There was a little dogleg bit at just about the 7K, and then that's when I felt good. My mind was breaking it down into thirds, so I had 7K at kind of a good pace, another 7K at a really good pace, and then the last 7K at, can I race this? I was also breaking it up by gels. So I had a Cliff Raspberry gel at the 7K mark, and maybe that rescued me. Maybe just my body warming up, and I could finally lean forward and really open up my hamstrings a bit more. Maybe that helped me a bit more. I'm not too sure. But then, from then, I felt really good and started passing runners. And then I started passing runners, so then I felt even better, and then it just like snowballed. So that's definitely something I would recommend to anyone and everyone. There was, every 5Ks, there was a timing board, and it showed you where you were. So the first 5K was 17:02, and I was like, oh, I had a goal of 1 hour 12. So keep that in mind. 17:02 was the first 5K, and I was like, oh no, I think I've been too ambitious with this 1 hour 12 goal. Then we hit the 10K mark, and it was 35:02. So I was 2 seconds quicker over the next 5K, and I was like, oh man, like this 112, that's ridiculous. 11Ks mark, we turned around to head back south, and it's just a straight line back towards the race, running past every other runner on course, which was so cool. I kind of just found my groove, and then I hit that 14K mark, had my Cliff Citrus gel, and kind of put my head down from there. I started running sub 320 from there on, and it was a really good time. Yeah, I was just feeling so strong, leaning forward, fast feet, just everything. I concentrate when I run. And then one lady yells out at like the 17K mark. She's like, Steve Monaghetti's just up the road, you can get him. And I was like, no way, Steve Monaghetti's just up the road, I can get him. Which is cool, because I grew up running with Border Striders through high school as my athletics and cross-country training running crew. And it was all intervals, basically. Like, our long slow run was our own job to go do on our own. But yeah, Brian used to put us through a Monaghetti session, And if you know what that is, you know what that is. And if you don't know who Monaghetti is, look him up. He's basically, any running family ever will know who that is. One of Australia's best ever marathon runners and runners to come out of the country. Legend. He's also like twice my age, so I should be beating most people twice my age. But actually, I'm not, and that's really cool too. The amount of people that actually beat me, I wouldn't have thought would beat me. And Michaela actually said the same thing. I ended up crossing the line 72nd, and she was like, I couldn't believe the people that were in front of you. I thought you must have blown up. And I was like, nah, they're just, runners are just built different. It doesn't matter what you look like or who you are. Some people can just run. And I do a little bit of everything, so I'm not a purist. But at the 18K mark, I passed Moneghetti. I'm just nose breathing, having a real good time, feeling real good. And I didn't even realize we ran past the cameraman at the same time. And Moneghetti looks across as the cameraman takes the photo. And now I've got a photo of Moneghetti being like, shoulder, like turning his head to have a look and be like, who's this fella? So that was a highlight for me. From there, it was the same as the Gold Coast Tri run course. So I knew exactly where I was and where the finish line was. I saw a couple other people up the road, so I just like kind of put my head down and started catching them. We got onto the straight with 1K to go, and that's where all the team tents are. So I kind of just put my head down and went from there. That last 1K was 3:10 pace, and then we turned the corner with 250 meters to go. Basically right before that, it's a left and then a right. So the last 500 meters, I averaged 2:45 pace, sprint finish at the end of 21 kilometers. Such a great time. Massive thank you to anyone and everyone that was at the event and puts on the event. I ran a 1:12:12 as an official time on my Strava, I think, according to my watch. It was 1:11:54 for the distance, because thankfully the distance was just a bit longer. On my Strava, I think, according to my watch, it was 1:11:54 for the distance, because thankfully the distance was just a bit longer. On the website, it said 21.095, and I wanted the 21.1. So I actually ran another 20 meters past the finish line just so I could get it on my watch, and it was fine. I didn't need to do that. But yeah, I ran straight through the crowd of other fast runners, dry reaching it on their knees, just so I could get it on my watch, because that's what counts. Now on Strava, my half marathon PB is 1 hour 11:54, and I am stoked with that. Next up, I think I've got a bike race. I've also got a new bike, and can't wait to show you what that one's going to be like. If you do know the Vegan Cyclist on YouTube, I'm going to try and do a very similar vlog style to him, just less intense, trying to film while racing, because it's going to be hard. See you then.